Welcome to Designs and Doodles. I'm Shelly Kim, and today we're going to be talking all about my lettering process today. So let's go ahead and get into it. So, a couple of things if you're new here, I'm a lettering artist, illustrator, and DIYer. And these are a couple of things that I've created. I started my whole art journey back in 2015 as a way to just release stress from my full time job. And a couple years after discovering my love for art, I turned it into my full time. And I'm so grateful and just happy to be able to create, just basically create all the things I wish existed. So, yeah, I'm so happy that you're here today. So, a couple of things for today. We're going to be talking about my lettering process in Adobe Fresco. Then I'll go ahead and export that file over to Adobe Illustrator and we'll finalize the artwork there. But yeah, I'm so excited about all the things that I'll be covering today. And the last thing, I also teach hand lettering as well. And if you're interested in just starting your lettering journey with me, since we're going to be talking about lettering today, I would love for y'all to start your journey with me. So I do have a bunch of lettering practice sheets that are completely free. If you're interested, subscribe to my newsletter over at lettersbyshells.com. And if you just go to the very bottom of the page, there will be a freebie section for you to um, um, enter in your information as well. But yeah, I really am excited about this and really want you to start your lettering journey with me as well. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and check over at the chat. Feel free to check in with me. Feel free to ask all the hand lettering questions, and I would love to know where you're tuning in from as well. Yeah, so let me go ahead and check the chat really fast before we go over to my iPad. Tufting, yes. Yeah, that's my DIY crafting. It was this picture of the DIY section where I just doodled my illustrations and turned it into a tufted rug. Let me go ahead and see. So, hi everyone. Hi Jacob. Hi Penny. Hi Robert. Hi Jack. Amazing. Thank you so much again for being here. So I'm gonna start with my iPad first, and we're just going to talk about just my whole breakdown when it comes to hand lettering and really just what goes into the sketch process and all that fun stuff. Okay. So I do have Adobe Fresco open now, and this is basically like this is a continuation of my greeting card series that I did in the last live. So what I thought would be really fun is to just kind of talk about my process sketching out the happy birthday hand lettering style. And if you all also subscribe to my newsletter, you will get access to this like free practice sheet where it's like the lettering breakdown. So this is just like a good thing to have next to you if you're interested in adding embellishments to your hand lettering styles, because this is typically the style that I'll be achieving today. So we'll go ahead and reference this throughout the session. But I'm going to go ahead and work on different layers today. So I'm going to open up a brand new layer like that. And I actually love using the ruler tab right here where I can just kind of map out and just sketch out just like the spacing and like what I am keeping in mind when it comes to my hand lettering process. So for the brushes, every time I do like a sketch, I'll go ahead and use a pixel pencil brush. Okay, and I'm going to just move this ruler up here. And I love that you can create really straight lines. And then, so I'm going to put happy at this top section right here. And then birthday is going to be maybe around like right here. Okay. So this is the idea that I have in mind. So when it comes to like drawing out these illustrations, I do kind of think about the illustrations first, kind of like thinking what I want to put around it. And that's kind of what I did here. And then I'll just add like a small section for me to add my hand lettering as well. Okay, so after we feel good about these rulers, I'm going to just tap on this ruler icon to like that. Amazing. Any questions so far? Oh, Penny, thank you so much for the comment about my color palette. Oh, yay. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in today. So, when it comes to the happy birthday, I like to just have like different focuses where I want like the word happy to be maybe in all caps and then the word birthday to be in all script. So, I'll go ahead and just write it in all capital letters like happy. And this is just like a rough outline. We're going to be finalizing it with using the monoline brush today. Okay, so that's that. And then for if you're new here and like you haven't really explored hand lettering before, I kind of like to think of it as if you write the word birthday, just consider the spacing a bit. If you write the word birthday just like in your normal like handwriting, we're going to now take a step back and identify where they all connect. And I think that's like the best way I can kind of explain how to create that script like writing. Okay. So now taking a step back, we're going to now identify, okay, so the B and the I, we can connect it like this. That is one option, but I want to just reference this practice sheet that I have here where it has like this script style like that. So that's kind of what I'm going to be considering when I'm connecting the lettering portion for this. So I'm going to connect the B and the I like this, and then the I and the R. And there are like different styles of R's that I'll talk about in just a second. But imagine, I know the spacing is kind of intense, but we'll go ahead and fix that later. The T and the H will connect like this, H and the D. And just, I'm adding like a nice curve at the bottom right here, like that. And then the A and the Y. Cool. So now that we kind of identify and see like where they all connect, we could bring the spacing in a lot closer together. That's just an example I wanted to talk about today. So now I'm going to open up a brand new layer and I like to just change the color of what I'm using just to kind of like then take a step back and see, okay, can I add more embellishments throughout the handlettering style? What else can I add to make it like really fun and just match the energy that I'm trying to do with the artwork? So let's see here. I can actually add like an embellishment like this right here. And so it can go either like that stroke or like this. I think I'm going to start like that. Okay. And I can kind of just take a step and kind of just like fix the areas where I'm hoping to add maybe like more of a curve or maybe make these embellishments a little bit smaller, things like that. So with this R, I'm actually going to do this R. And then the T, just adding a nice curve like this. So there are a couple of connections that I can do with the T and the H. I could do something like this just to kind of show you a few options. I can add this like flourish like that. I think that's really fun. But I think for this example, I'll go ahead and just add a loop on the H. So again, like I'm adding kind of like a curve, but I'm using what I created originally as like a starting point. I'm just going to move these closer together because I think the spacing's a little bit too spread out. And then the D, and we're going to go ahead and add like a loop right there. Okay. Maybe make the A smaller and drop this stroke a little bit lower. And yeah, this may be the Y. And then I can kind of take a step back and see, okay, like how's it all coming together? Because I have like all these like fun embellishments like these right here, I can actually add a fun embellishment with the Y. Maybe I can kind of draw this out like that. Yeah. So those are just a couple of things that I like to do when it comes to just bringing it all together. How can I connect my handwriting and create this like script like effect? But yeah, I hope that breakdown was kind of helpful. And like there's multiple ways we can go about doing this as well. But yeah, I would love to know if you have any questions. I'm going to check the chat really fast as well. So give me 1 second. Oh, hi Richie, welcome. Do you like the vector brushes, Shelly? Yes, Penny. So I like to use like the pixel brushes for sketching, and then I'll use the vector brushes to finalize the artwork. And that's pretty much what I did here with this entire piece. I use the vector brushes for the entire illustration, and I like to do that because like to export this file into Illustrator. And then I can just copy and paste the elements that I created. And I think it's just the best way possible to just like have it readily available. But yeah, so I love using the vector brushes, which we'll definitely go into in just a second. Yeah, amazing. But yeah, I would love to know, what are your favorite brushes in fresco? Amazing. Okay, so I can also use a different color as well again and just kind of see, are there any more embellishments that I can add to this? Is there something that I wish that I can do? Maybe it's like the spacing. A quick tip with spacing that I also mentioned during the last call as well. I kind of just like to see if I went ahead and used like this circle. I can kind of see like, how is my spacing in between each of the letters? It's just like a rough example. I don't love to go off of this because you'll see how like the T and the H, it doesn't really make sense here because I have an intense curve going inwards. And if I were to bring this a little bit closer, then this, where I cross the T, it would kind of go and touch the letter H, which is definitely okay if you are considering that style. But that's the reason why I don't always go off of this. But it's just like a good idea just to see how's your spacing between each of the letters as well. Okay, so let me go ahead and um, use my pencil again and just kind of see. I want to see if there is something that I can change before I finalize everything. Maybe make this be a little bit smaller. And I feel like that's kind of what I do constantly. There are a lot of like videos that I create online where um, it seems like I'm hand lettering it in like a seamless process, which sometimes can be the case, but I'm also behind the scenes sketching it out as well, just to make sure I'm happy with how it came out. So usually the first time I do the hand lettering is never the final version, because I'm always just kind of seeing, how can I add more embellishments and things like that. Because it also changes based on if these like illustrations down here were a lot higher up to the hand lettering portion. So those are all things to consider. Okay. So I can move around the word happy in just a second. So how do we feel about this? I hope that hand lettering process was very simple just to kind of understand the breakdown. Do y'all have any questions about hand lettering? Again, this is like the practice sheet, kind of what we were going off of in terms of like the style, adding these like loops and embellishments like this. So instead of doing like a letter B like this, I went ahead and added an embellishment like that. But yeah, let me know if y'all have any questions about hand lettering. Sketching on sketching, yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you all for joining today. Super excited to have you all here. Oh, Richie, I'm so glad that was really helpful. Awesome. Okay. So yeah, feel free if you have questions. Let me know in the meantime. But now I'm going to open up a brand new layer as well, and we're going to use the vector brushes. So for the vector brushes, I like to use the round brush. I want to create like this monoline script hand lettering style. So with that, I like to use a round brush, and I'll go down here and turn my smoothing to 100%. I think usually the default's like 50%. So that's what I did there. So I'm going to choose a different color that I can really see this once I sketch it all out. I think this like pink color could be good. And I first like to test out my strokes and kind of see, is that like the thickness that I like. I can kind of zoom out a bit and see if that thickness is kind of matching the illustration styles as well. So I like to kind of just like see it like that. I can make it a little bit bigger. So about 18. I'll kind of like trace over my illustrations to see like how thick the strokes are. But yeah, I feel pretty good about that. Okay. So I'm just going to like trace over everything, and after a couple of letters, I'll take pauses as well. Okay, I think my strokes might be a little bit too thick for my liking, just because with my embellishments, it can be kind of hard to like keep that spacing between like this section right here. So I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. So my brush size is about 14 or about 15, but also keep in mind of your canvas size as well. So I think this canvas size, I think it's 8.5 by 11. Yeah, so I'll take pauses and just use my sketch as a starting point. Yeah, how are y'all feeling about this so far? I hope this process was really helpful. Yeah, so that's that. I'm going to make this stroke a little bit smaller. Okay, so now opening up a new layer as well. I'm going to write the word happy. I'm going to change the color so that way I know where so that happy is like one whole group and the birthday is going to be on a separate group. Okay. I made my A a little bit wider to match the H. So when it comes to the spacing here, I'm not worried about too much. I'm just going to fix everything and edit in Illustrator. Awesome. So that is happy birthday. I really want to start using Illustrator because oh, Photoshop, I know. I started using Illustrator first because so one of the first freelance projects that I received, um, I didn't know how to use Illustrator as much. I thought I did, but no, I really didn't. And I know that they had asked me to like create and like give them like an Illustrator file. And that was my whole like starting point where I needed to learn and like really understand how to use Illustrator because there were like specific things that they were asking me. Um, like really simple. They wanted me to like vector something. I didn't even know where to start because I created everything in Pixel and yeah, that was a learning curve for sure. So, after discovering like Adobe Fresco and just seeing that we could use the vector brushes, it kind of just like changed the way I illustrated and the way I saw vector art. So I love using Illustrator or I love using Adobe Fresco for that reason. I just feel like for my hand lettering and like my hand drawn illustrations, it's just really easy to create it in Fresco and I can kind of really create that hand-drawn effect. But yeah. Is pressure factor for you when you brush letter? Yeah, that's a great question. So I do so right now this style I'm doing like more of like a monoline style so there's like no pressure added. But yeah, it's like there are different hand lettering styles where I'll create like a calligraphy effect. And that's when I'll go ahead and consider pressure. So every time like you do a downstroke, it's going to be like a thick pressure and your upstroke is going to be a thin pressure. But yeah, so how do y'all feel about this? I'm going to now hide the sketch layers. I like to just keep all the layers available just so that way I know um kind of what I was working with originally. And I'm going to kind of like move things around so you can visually see how it all came together. Okay, maybe I can move happy and birthday a little bit higher. Yeah. I'm trying to think. So I think my Y is really, really big. I'm going to make another option if I made it a little bit smaller. Um, so I'm just going to just do it on a brand new layer as well. I just feel like my embellishment down here was a little bit too low in comparison to everything else. Yeah, I think I feel okay about that. And I can kind of just like replace it in Illustrator. Yep, but I feel good about everything. Last during the last live session, I just talked about how I like to reuse illustrations. I used to always create art pieces where every illustration had to be different, and I felt like it was really overwhelming. So I'll just right here, this piece, I just drew like one, two, three, four, like five illustrations and just recopied it and just placed it in opposite directions at the very bottom. But yeah, that's kind of how I created this art piece. Okay, so the way I like to export my files in Fresco is I believe everyone has this option here. It's like a box with the arrow coming out of it. So it's like the export button. So I like to open a copy in Illustrator. And that is just like the best way for me to really see how I can transform this file and add it to my working file already. So I'll just tap on Illustrator Desktop. Okay. So it's going to take some time, but while that's happening, I'm going to share over and go to my desktop. I'm going to open up my Illustrator file. But yeah, you'll see that it says document sent. So when I open Illustrator, it should be waiting for me. Cool. So sometimes it takes a while, but it should have like a pop-up window where it says open a copy here. And then if it doesn't happen, I'll just go ahead and do it again. Um, if you do that, sometimes you might get two versions of it. Yep, there you go. I was in the process of doing it again. But yeah, so this is the file. I'll hit OK. and everything that we did, they're all already in vectored, so it's amazing. I mean, like, you can do, like, everything in pixel art, it's totally fine, and you just have to, like, image trace it, but I feel like, using the vector brushes, I just found an easier process to just go about doing the whole thing. Yeah, so I'm gonna put my iPad away, and as we start into the AI file, let me know if you have questions about it as well. Okay. See, this is my second notice. Awesome. So if I zoom in here, you'll see that because I wrote the Y in a different stroke, it kind of created its own. And I believe, yeah, I did it here too. Awesome. So I'm going to delete that and then just recopy the original file. Sorry. Copy this, delete that. I don't think it's copying on my end. Give me all a second. Okay. Let me just, it's on a separate layer, so. Cool. So let's go ahead and kind of take a step back and see what's happening here. So I'm actually going to bring this file over to my working file that I have over here. So this is a little peek into my greeting card collection that I'm working on. So during the last live session 2 weeks ago, I believe we did this card together. So if you want to check out that video. But yeah, so today I want to do like just a deep dive into my hand lettering process. I hope that was really helpful. And I think we might still have some time to possibly create like a different card. I can show you a quick overview of how to create patterns and all that fun stuff. Okay, so let me delete that. And this is what we're working with. So these artboards that I have currently, the dimension is 4.25 by 5.5 in inches because I made it in size of like a greeting card. And that's the reason why I decided to vector everything, because if I did this in pixel, I don't think it would be as clear as I'd like. Okay, so let me change the color of this. I don't know what yet, but so you'll see that every stroke here, it's like owns a separate stroke. So you can kind of like move things around, which is really nice. But just for this example, I'm just going to group everything. So this is going to be its own group. And then the word happy will be the same thing. I'm going to change the color of that. So you'll see that I wanted to change the spacing a bit. So I'm going to change just like space it out a little bit better. Okay. I think I feel good about this. Oops. Let me see if the P is like about the same size. Okay. Might make my Y a little bit longer. And yep, I'm going to group it all. Okay, I feel good about this. I kind of just like angled it a bit. Okay, I'm checking the chat really fast to make sure. Okay, yeah, so I feel good about this. So basically, if you already had like your illustration already done for your card or your art piece, you can just go ahead and resize it down into your artwork. Like that. And I can change this color to the blue. And just kind of, I like to, each art piece, I'll kind of stick to the exact same color palette. But I might make this a little bit darker just so that way the contrast is really there. Yeah, I think it's fun. Okay, 1 second. I'm going to copy the background and put it onto my bottom layer and just lock that layer. So when I highlight things, it's not going to get in the way. Okay, so yeah, that's your happy birthday. And you can just kind of explore your spacing and just like the composition overall. But yeah, I felt pretty good about that. Okay, I like to normally just take a step away because I'll get into it too much. But yeah, that's basically the hand lettering process. And I hope that was really helpful just to kind of like bring it all together and see how we can considering like just like adding embellishments and things like that. So I can do another card. Let's actually do that instead. So let's do my happy birthday. I'm trying to see what I could do. So I like to reuse a lot of my old elements. So like let's say if I copied this birthday design, I can kind of like paste it in and just really just have fun exploring the spacing and all that fun stuff. So I can continue to just copy and paste things and just like move it around to kind of create like a really fun present border. That's something I would do like that. I think that's really fun. Kind of go off the page a bit like that. Um, these are just like ideas that I might consider, but I don't know if I'll actually use it. So I can just kind of copy and paste and bring it down at the bottom like that. We could also like change the angle. I think that could be fun. So if I brought in the happy birthday here, what would that look like? I think that looks good. So then I can bring in another present down here. I'm gonna try have them go in different directions though. I'm just copying and pasting all the illustrations. Maybe make happy birthday a little bit smaller. But yeah, that's like one example that I could do. I don't know if I love this, but it could definitely work. I could kind of bring these down a little bit closer and maybe add in like, I don't like how the bows touch a bit. So let me go ahead and I think that could work. And then, okay, I don't know how we're feeling about this, but I can change up the colors or something. This looks really similar to my first card that I did over here. After seeing it, it's just they're a different present style. Maybe I could add this cake thing that I drew. Actually, where is that cake illustration? Okay, so let me go ahead and I feel like I could do cakes and presents. Let me open up a new artboard so we can kind of see what that might look like. Okay. I'm going to just copy this entire thing over to the new artboard. But instead, I can sorry, my mouse got stuck. I don't know if I like this idea, but I can kind of like add like presents and cake in between. So it would be like that. This is just like my workflow process. I hope it's fun to see. Okay, I'm going to delete all the presents on the top right there. I don't know if I love this either, but I hope you kind of get the idea. I feel like this would have to be a little bit smaller, so that way it's like a really fun border in between. So I'm just going to copy that same exact thing down here. But yeah, I think I would just kind of continue it. I think I might like this. So I'll just bring these little cakes down a little bit lower. Let me change also the direction of where they're going. So you're just going to transform, reflect, and I think that could work for this. I might change it back later, but so I'm gonna do the same thing. Yeah, so see if I can also add one more thing. Let's add like a cake right here. Let's add this cake up here. Amazing. Okay, so you kind of get the idea. And we can also add a background color. So I'm going to open up these layers again. I like to just do the background on a different layer. 4.25, 5.5. I'm going to just color drop or eye drop and use a different background color. Okay, and then I'll just copy that, lock that layer. So I can kind of really see how I'm liking that contrast. I think it looks fun. Okay, so yeah, so for this entire greeting card set for the happy birthday, they do have the same color palette, and that's kind of what I'm sticking to. For the next set I work on, it's going to be a different color palette for sure. I'll do my best though. Okay, I'm checking the comments really fast just to make sure the presents. Oh, thank you. I'm really happy that yeah, I just like to do my best to have the illustrations go out different directions. So that's pretty much what I did here. Okay. So after I feel okay about this, I'm going to I'm just going to copy and paste like that background cover over and just highlight all the elements that I'm hoping to add a clipping mask to. So you'll kind of see um, what it would look like if it's printed. Yeah, and this is kind of where I'll take a step back and like move things around if needed. Um, I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to apply the exact same thing to this one as well. Adding the same background color. Okay. Let me change the color happy birthday to the color of the ribbons. I think that looks nice. And then we're just going to add another clipping mask to this as well. I don't know if I love this one, but yeah. So this is kind of like where I'll just create a bunch of variations of it and then take a step back and just come back to it in a couple of hours or like the next day and just change it up again or um, maybe I just won't include this into my greeting cards set. And yeah, like I get really caught up with trying to like complete an art piece all at once, but I kind of also know it's best to just step away. So I'll come back to these probably tomorrow. But yeah, I hope that was really, really helpful to kind of see that breakdown. Another idea that I think could look nice is so there are a couple of, did I create any patterns? I think for this one, I may not have any patterns here. I think I just kind of copied and pasted it. But patterns is a really fun way just to kind of see how it all comes together. So imagine like it just says birthday across everything. Okay. I'm going to see how I can make this work. Let's try different options. Like that looks nice. Okay, so if you haven't built a pattern in Illustrator, I just highlighted my piece, went to Object, Pattern, Make, and you'll see the different options here. So this is like the grid option. I like to kind of use like brick by row. I'm gonna make the birthday a little bit smaller, kind of help with the spacing a bit. Like that could look nice. So then I'll just um, save a copy and I'm just gonna call it birthday. And then now it's gonna be located in this swatch panel. I'm just gonna hit done. Okay, let's delete that. Okay, so I'm going to just make a box that's the same size as my artboard and go to my swatch panel and click on birthday and see how that comes together. I think it's a work in progress. I'm not in love with this, but you kind of get the idea of like building out patterns, and I love doing it for hand lettering as well. I think it's really fun. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can add like, yeah, so you kind of get the idea. I don't really love this. Let me try that one more time. Actually, no, I can, if you click on the pattern, just go to object and then pattern and edit pattern, and it kind of brings you back to that window. I think I want to see if I can do like a blue color. Okay, and I'm going to also make it a little bit smaller. I think it was just too big and like there wasn't enough spacing around it. Okay, and hit done. But yeah, I think this could work. And then we can also add illustrations in between. So let me show you what that would look like. Let me pull an illustration from another art piece that I did. Let's copy this. I was going to do the star. I didn't realize they all had a clipping mask on them. So let me just gonna, I don't want to release a clipping mask. So I'm just going to find this other star from another artboard. Okay, so choose your pattern, go back to object, pattern, edit pattern. Okay, I don't know if I'm going to like this idea, but pasting in the star just to see how that can come together. And then let's see if I can add another star right there, what that would look like. Okay, so if I really zoom out, I don't know if I love the two stars like that. But I think one star could work. Or maybe like one could be smaller and the other one can be a little bit bigger. And we'll just like change the direction of the star as well. Okay, kind of another idea here. Hit done. Yeah. What do y'all think so far? I'm going to see if I can take one of the daisy illustrations. Okay. I'm going to just replace a bigger star with a daisy. But yeah, I'm going to check the comments as well. Okay, cool. Yeah, let me know if you have more questions about the process. Okay, so let me go ahead, go back to object, pattern, edit pattern. I'm just going to do one more thing. And then we'll move on to a new art piece. I feel like that could be really fun just because it has like different illustrations. Okay, cool. And then hit done. But yeah, I think that works too. But yeah, I feel like I can really get into the entire process and like just trying to find the best version. So I'm going to take a step back from that. But yeah, just like with the birthday illustration, works the exact same way with just like creating patterns with other illustrations. So let's say you have your illustration like here, like this. Um, let's say you want them to have like two. I'm going to just change the angle of the first one. Yeah, and just highlight them both, go to object, pattern, make, and you'll kind of see. There's different options you can choose. But it's just like a really simple version of the patterns. It can definitely be as complex as you would like, but I like to just either go to like choose grid or the second option. Yeah. And I feel like if I want to, I can make them a little bit smaller as well. But I feel like this would be a really fun like background, maybe like a phone wallpaper. Um, I feel like there's just so many options. Cool. I'm gonna hit done again. And I just made a new box of the same size of my artboard. I'm just gonna go to my swatch and hit new pattern. Yeah, I feel like that's really fun. So far we created just like I kind of talked about a deep dive into my hand lettering process and just adding it to an existing art piece and just building out new illustration cards. These are just like brainstorm ideas that I might do. But yeah, do you all have any questions about like creating patterns and also the hand lettering process using like Adobe Fresco and bringing it into Illustrator? I would love to know. I'm gonna check the comments as well just to see if y'all had any questions for me. Oh, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I love it. Cake everywhere. I love, yes, I love cakes. Amazing. Well, let's go ahead since we have a little bit more time. I think it'd be really fun to um let me go back to my iPad and just kind of talk about a different like handling style. It'll just be like a couple of minutes and then we'll end it there. I'm just propping up my iPad again. But yeah, I hope this process is really helpful. Definitely check me out over my over on Instagram at Letters by Shells. And I would love to chat with you all if you have any specific questions about this as well. So let me go ahead and share my iPad again. Okay. Yay. But I really hope you all enjoyed this process. It was really fun just to kind of give you a deep dive of it all. So just kind of a quick breakdown of what we did today. We basically created our, like, just like the lines and the spacing that we want to consider. And then we wrote our happy birthday just as like a really rough example. Let me try to pull up the first example. Yeah, this is a one. But yeah, I wanted to kind of give you an idea of if we basically looked at the word birthday, if I like just like other options of hand lettering styles and variations, we can do this as well. So using opening up a new layer and choosing a different color, just like other embellishments we can add to your hand lettering, we can maybe see if we can like extend this section right here like that. So it's going to be a lot bigger and go in more to help fill like this negative space here. Okay. And I think my other example is like connecting the T and the H together. I just feel like it looks really pretty and it just has like a really fun like connection and movement as well to your hand lettering. But yeah, this is basically just kind of working with what we currently have already. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like we can have our first version, or if you want to refine it, basically, like depending on your art piece, and if it needs to be like a lot more like smaller or wider, this is definitely where you can create like another sketch on top of your original sketch. But yeah, I think that is it. Let me double check the comments really fast. And yeah, and if you missed this live, it's going to be available for replay very soon. Oh, it's a cute an interesting process. Oh, thank you so much. I love that. I'm really happy that you all tuned in today. Let me go ahead and I'm going to just share my main screen again. This is again. But yeah, thank you so much everyone for joining. I hope it was really fun to watch my whole hand lettering process, just using Adobe Fresco and how I export the files into Illustrator. I feel like for me, it's definitely is like a really good option because I can also create and do all my projects on the go. So it's been really helpful as well. But yeah, I think this is it. I can't wait for our next live session. Feel free to DM me over on Instagram to just talk about like ideas for the next live session y'all have. But thank you so much again for tuning in today. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day and have an amazing week. Until next time, take care. Bye.